Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going straight to the heart of cardiovascular disease, and I mean that literally. We're moving way past the standard advice.
Our mission today is to give you the absolute fastest route to understanding what truly protects your arteries. And we're going to focus on a microscopic hero that most people have never even heard of.
And it's an urgent mission. The source material we're diving into kicks off with this really stunning claim.
It's a huge claim. It says that we're operating this multi-billion-dollar medical industry around an illness that in many parts of the world just doesn't even exist.
Doesn't exist.
Places like rural China, Okinawa, Central Africa,
Yeah.
where these high-fat processed diets are basically absent. The disease is absent.
That is the ultimate hook, isn't it? That this disease we see as a default part of aging is actually optional.
Exactly. And the proof of how early it starts is, well, it's pretty horrifying.
Yeah.
It comes from autopsy data from the Korean War.
Right. Young U.S. soldiers, average age of just 20.
Just 20. And 80% of them already had gross, visible evidence of coronary artery disease.
So this isn't a disease of old age. It's a disease of our diet, and it starts setting up shop the moment we're out of childhood.
It proves it.
Yeah.
And you can see this incredible link between diet and the disease historically, too.
You're talking about the Norway study during World War II.
Yes. It was reported in The Lancet. It was this massive unintentional experiment. When the German occupation began, they confiscated all the livestock.
So no more meat and dairy for the general population.
Right. And what happened was deaths from heart attacks and strokes just plummeted. They basically vanished.
And then what happened after the war?
1945 comes, the war ends, meat and dairy come back,
Yeah.
and the rates of heart attacks and strokes shot right back up to pre-war levels. Instantly. The food was like a switch.
Okay, so if the food is the switch, let's unpack the mechanism. What are we actually attacking inside our bodies?
We're attacking the guardian, the life jacket of our entire vascular system. It's this delicate, one-cell thick inner lining of our blood vessels called the endothelium.
The endothelium.
Yeah.
And its big weapon, its primary defense, is a single molecule.
The magic molecule, as it's called, nitric oxide, or NO. Its discovery was so fundamental it actually won a Nobel Prize back in 1998.
So what does this magic gas actually do for us? Why is it so critical?
It has 4 jobs, and you need all of them. First, it keeps everything flowing smoothly. It makes the inside of your arteries like Teflon. Nothing sticks.
Okay, so it's non-stick.
Second, it's your body's most powerful vasodilator. It's what tells your arteries to widen when you, say, climb a flight of stairs and need more blood flow.
Right. And the third?
It keeps the artery walls from getting stiff or inflamed, so it directly protects you against hypertension, high blood pressure.
Teflon, vasodilator, anti-inflammatory. And the fourth is the big one for this discussion.
It's the absolute showstopper. A healthy endothelium making enough nitric oxide completely protects you from ever developing blockages or plaque in the first place.
So the big picture here is, it doesn't matter if you're in Chicago or London. If you have heart disease, it's because you've damaged that system.
You've trashed it. You've turned your endothelial system into a train wreck, and you just aren't making enough of that protective gas.
And this is where it gets really fascinating because the damage starts immediately. Let's talk about the cheeseburger, the milkshake, the pizza.
The second you eat that meal, that beautiful, smooth, Teflon-like endothelium turns into a sticky, rough surface. It's described as being full of cracks and fissures. It comes like Velcro.
And that stickiness is the first step of the disaster.
It's the point of no return. Because now, the small LDL cholesterol particles, the bad cholesterol, can get in. They migrate through those cracks into the space just beneath the endothelium.
And once they're in there, they're not safe.
No, they're immediately attacked. They get oxidized by all the free radicals from the very food that you just ate.
And oxidized LDL is like a foreign invader. The body sends in the troops.
It calls in the immune system's SWAT team, the white blood cells, the macrophages, and they come rushing in and they just gorge themselves on all that oxidized LDL.
And that creates the foam cell.
The foam cell. It's the Darth Vader of this entire sequence. These things are just bloated, toxic balls of fat, and they start pumping out these nasty enzymes.
Enzymes that do what?
They're called metalloproteinases. And their job is to chew away at the protective cap that your body has formed over this growing pile of plaque. They thin it out.
And a thin cap is a weak cap.
Exactly. And with the force of blood rushing over it, that thin cap can tear. It can rupture. The second it does, a blood clot forms to heal the tear.
And that clot is what blocks the artery and causes the heart attack.
In minutes. And here's the crucial insight that most people miss. 90% of heart attacks come from these smaller, vulnerable plaques, the ones that are only maybe 10 to 50% blocked.
Not the huge calcified ones that almost close off the artery?
No, it's the small, inflamed, unstable ones that are the real killers. It's not the size of the blockage that gets you. It's the stability of the cap.
We have direct proof of this acute damage, don't we? There was that study with the sausage and hash browns.
A classic study. They took healthy young volunteers, fed them a single high-fat meal, hash browns and sausage, and within 120 minutes, their arteries' ability to dilate, a direct measure of nitric oxide function, was completely injured.
So for 2 hours after that breakfast, their arteries were essentially sticky, inflamed, and dysfunctional.
Yes. Now imagine doing that 3 times a day. Scrambled eggs and bacon for breakfast, cold cuts for lunch, steak for dinner. You're living in a state of constant day-long chemical assault on your endothelium.
It's a chronic injury. So if that's the poison, the antidote, according to the sources, is a complete shift, a whole food, plant-based diet.
And complete is the key word. To get the kind of reversal they saw in the studies, the adherence has to be strict.
What does that mean exactly?
It means 0 drops of any oil. No olive oil, corn oil, nothing. No meat, no fish, no fowl, no dairy, no eggs. And you also minimize sugar and even caffeinated coffee.
Wait, hold on. 0 oil. We're always told olive oil is the cornerstone of a healthy Mediterranean diet. Why is that out?
It's a really good question, and it's a sticking point for a lot of people. But the science here is focused on that acute injury. Peer-reviewed studies show that even the supposedly good oils, like olive oil, cause a similar immediate, measurable, detrimental effect on endothelial function.
So for the purpose of healing, you have to remove every single thing that could possibly cause that inflammatory reaction.
We have to remove the irritant, all of it. If the goal is absolute endothelial repair, you can't compromise.
Okay, so you go all in on this diet. What happens to that whole damage cascade we just described?
You interrupt the entire sequence immediately. The stickiness stops. LDL stops migrating into the wall. No more oxidation, no more foam cells. And crucially, the cap over any plaque you already have starts to get thicker and stronger.
And if the cap cannot rupture...
You are, for all intents and purposes, heart attack proof.
And the data suggests this protective reversal happens. How fast?
About 3 weeks?
3 weeks. That is an absolutely staggering timeline to reverse a chronic disease.
It's incredible. It shows you the body's power to heal once you just stop injuring it. And there's another piece to this with the gut microbiome.
The TMAO story.
Right. Meat, fish, dairy, eggs. They contain things like carnitine and lecithin. People who eat those foods have gut bacteria that turn those into a compound called TMA.
And the liver turns TMA into TMAO.
Which is a known, potent blood vessel injurer. It adds another layer of damage. But here's the thing. When you switch to a whole food plant-based diet, you lose the bacteria that make TMA. They just die off.
So you're not just taking away the bad stuff, you're fundamentally changing your internal chemistry to be more protective.
Precisely.
So that's how we stop the damage. How do we actively heal the system? The sources talk about maximizing high RAT foods.
Oxygen radical absorbance capacity. Basically, nature's most powerful antioxidants to bathe that, horrible cauldron of inflammation.
And this has to come from food, not pills.
Absolutely. The research is clear. Antioxidant pills don't work and can even be harmful. The key is to chew, and I have to emphasize chew, not juice, not blend green leafy vegetables.
How often?
6 times a day, a portion about the size of your fist.
6 times. And there's a very specific preparation method, isn't there? This sounds almost like a prescription.
It is a prescription. You boil the greens for about 5.5 to 6 minutes just to make them tender. And then you anoint them with a few drops of balsamic vinegar.
Why the vinegar? That seems like such a specific detail.
It's the critical scientific detail. The acetic acid in the balsamic vinegar has been shown to restore the function of an enzyme inside the endothelial cell. It's called nitric oxide synthase.
And that's the enzyme that actually makes the nitric oxide.
It's the factory. So the Western diet breaks the factory, and the acetic acid in the vinegar helps reboot the machinery.
You're giving your body the raw materials with the greens, and you're fixing the factory with the vinegar.
You got it. And for the listener, the top 5 greens to focus on are kale, Swiss chard, spinach, arugula, and beet greens.
And the proof that this works isn't just theoretical. We have angiograms showing reversal.
Yes, incredible images. Blockages improving by up to 30%. And the case of Dr. Joe Crow, a surgeon who had a severe blockage in his widowmaker artery.
The left anterior descending.
He went on this diet, no statins, and a follow-up angiogram showed the entire disease section had just cleared. It was remarkable. It shows the body can literally reabsorb that soft, inflamed plaque.
Let's talk about the speed of symptom reversal. The PET scan evidence is what really blew my mind.
It's revolutionary. You see these scans where the heart muscle has areas of green indicating poor blood flow or ischemia.
And then after just 3 weeks on the diet,
Those green areas turn to yellow and orange, indicating a huge return of blood flow.
3 weeks is way too fast to be dissolving decades of old, hardened plaque. So what's actually happening?
It's the endothelium waking up. An injured endothelium doesn't just stop making an O, it starts making the opposite powerful vasoconstrictors that clamp down on the blood vessels.
So it's actively squeezing them shut.
Yes. In those first 3 weeks, you stop the injury, the endothelium heals, it stops making the constrictors, and it starts pumping out the vasodilator nitric oxide again.
And that opens up what? The main arteries?
It opens up the thousands of tiny microscopic intramuscular vessels, the little side roads where plaque never forms. It's like turning the water pressure back on for the entire neighborhood, not just the main street. That's why angina can disappear in days.
And this healing isn't just in the heart.
It's body-wide. We see claudication, that's pain in the legs when walking, completely reverse. One patient went from stopping 5 times on his walk to stopping 0 times in under a year.
And maybe the most sensitive barometer of all.
Erectile dysfunction. The penile artery is tiny, much smaller than the coronaries. When it starts working again, it's a powerful signal that vascular healing is happening everywhere.
So this brings up the question of cholesterol scores. If the real issue is the endothelial wall, how much should we obsess over our LDL number?
It's still important, but the source material really emphasizes that the integrity of the endothelial fortress is the game changer. If you maintain that fortress, you should be fine, even if your LDL isn't rock bottom, because you've removed the point of entry for the disease. The injury is where it all begins.
And we have to briefly mention the brain. This isn't just about the heart.
Not at all. Brain MRIs on people eating a standard diet start showing these little white spots, these microstrokes, appearing around age 50.
And that's the foundation for what comes later.
It's the foundation for dementia and cerebral atrophy. Protecting your vascular system today is literally protecting your mind for tomorrow.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener? I think the core message here is one of incredible empowerment.
It really is. Cardiovascular disease is not some inevitable malignancy. It is, for the most part, a reversible foodborne illness. You, the patient, hold the locus of control through what you choose to eat.
And the numbers are they're staggering. Dr. Esselstyn's group, the ones who stuck to the diet, had a 0.6% rate of major cardiac events over 12 years.
0.6. Compare that to the standard of care in other studies where the event rate is usually 20 to 25%.
That's a 30-fold difference in risk, a 30x reduction.
It's a revolution. And it's not coming from another pill or another procedure. It's coming from food.
Which brings us to our final provocative thought for you to take away from this deep dive. We learned that a high calcium score, which sounds scary, can sometimes be a sign of healing. The body calcifying and stabilizing dangerous, inflamed plaque. So if this diet is so powerfully anti-inflammatory that it can fundamentally alter the #1 killer in the Western world in a matter of weeks, what other chronic, seemingly unrelated inflammatory conditions in our joints, our nerves, maybe even our mood, might be silently resolving at the same time? What is the unseen benefit of making yourself heart attack proof?